To our 2024 lead, Trump's latest trial date set for March in the federal case when it comes to overturning the election. That date could have a major impact on the presidential race. It's scheduled right before Super Tuesday, one day before Super Tuesday. We're joined by Republican presidential candidate and former New Jersey Governor Chris Christie. Thanks for joining us. So, Governor Christie, your reaction to the federal judge setting Trump's trial on the special counsel's election interference case, setting it for early March of next year. You're also a former federal prosecutor, former U.S. attorney. Is that too soon, too far away? What do you think?
I think it's a realistic date, Jake, given that it's a one-defendant case. I remember talking to you at the time of this indictment, and there's some question about why did Jack Smith just indict Donald Trump and have 6 unindicted co-conspirators. I think today is the reason why he did that. He decided that to get this case moved to trial, he had to restrict it to one defendant. He indicted the person he felt was most culpable. And today, I think what the judge did was twofold. One, she gave them another 6 months to get ready for trial in a single defendant case. And two, she made it quite clear to the Trump legal team that the public relations games that they and their client play are not going to impact the decisions that she makes in the courtroom. And so I think for Republican voters, the biggest thing they have to look at now is that, you know, we're going to have a guy running for president who from March 4th, probably for the next 4 to 6 weeks, will be every day in a courtroom in Washington, D.C. and not campaigning against Joe Biden. This is disastrous for the Republican Party. And this is why I've been saying right from the time I got into the race that given his personal conduct, given the stuff that he did himself, that he simply can't be our nominee.
So on that debate stage last week, you and Governor Asa Hutchinson were really the only two to talk, to call out what Donald Trump is accused of having done. Although former Ambassador Nikki Haley did point out that Donald Trump is the least popular politician in America right now, and she argued that nominating him would be a bad idea for that reason. Do you think the six out of 8 of you, not including you and Hutchinson, raised their hand and said that they would support him even if he were a convicted felon? Do you think that the other 6 actually feel that way, or they're just performing for the base? What do you think they actually think?
You know, Jake, I can't imagine that 6 experienced people up there who have had the life experiences they have had and the political experience they've had can actually think that that's the right answer, that that's the right answer for our party, but more importantly, that that's the right answer for our country. And they'll have to search their own hearts and their own conscience about why they made the decision they made to raise their hand. But what I'll tell you is that I had absolutely no doubt in my mind that it's the wrong thing to do for our party, and it's the wrong thing to do for our country. We cannot normalize this conduct, Jake. Put aside the charges and whether you agree or disagree with the charges. No one disputes the conduct. And the conduct that underlies it is not only beneath the office that he held at the time that he committed many of these acts, but it's way below the conduct that you would want for someone who's going to ask for that job back. And I want Republican voters to understand. They nominate Donald Trump. He's going to lose to Joe Biden. Independent voters will abandon us in droves in a general election. That'll mean a packed Supreme Court. That'll mean the elimination of the filibuster. That'll mean a lot of things that I think Republicans in this country will find a hard time living with. And we don't have to. We can nominate someone who could take on Joe Biden and his record directly. And I believe I'm the best person to do that.
There was a column in the Philadelphia Inquirer by a progressive journalist named Will Bunch talking about how he thought the news media was doing a disservice to the public by not frankly and candidly describing what he views as an authoritarian streak going on in the Republican Party. You haven't read the column, I assume, so I'm not even going to ask you about it. But you do describe the conduct of Donald Trump trying to overturn the election as reprehensible. You do condemn it. Yep. But so many people in your party, and I'm not just talking about people running for president or on Capitol Hill, but I mean voters, Republican voters, don't seem to have a problem with it. And I'm wondering, do you think that your party has an authoritarian problem, that they really honestly don't have a problem with violently trying to stop a free and fair election from going forward?
No, Jake, I absolutely don't think that we have that problem. I think what we have is a Donald Trump problem. And that right now what's gone on is that people view Donald Trump synonymously with the Republican Party, and that if you oppose Trump, that's somehow favoring Biden. And many Republicans don't want to do that for very obvious reasons. And I think that that's why we need to have this full debate and discussion that we just really started on Wednesday night about who should be leading our party and who should be leading our country. And I've said very clearly on the authoritarian side of things, this is Donald Trump's problem, not the Republican Party's problem. He's the guy who thinks that Vladimir Putin's an excellent leader and brilliant. He's the guy who thinks that President Xi is straight out of Hollywood. He's the guy who thinks Kim Jong-un is wonderful. I mean, these are things that he has said about these authoritarian leaders. And it's because Donald Trump would like to be one himself. He likes that. He doesn't want to debate with anyone, as he showed on Wednesday night. He doesn't want anybody to disagree with him. And look, that's just not the way our system works. And I know that the truth is what matters the most. I'm going to continue to stand up for the truth. I urge everybody to go to chrischristie.com, donate to support the truth, because we're going to keep saying it. And I think it's going to get through to Republican voters and to voters across the country. But it's going to take time, and I'm going to be patient and persistent.
Governor Chris Christie, thank you so much for your time today. Appreciate it.